Well, hey everybody, it's Ashley here from Lovely Commotion. Thanks for joining me. Today we're going to talk all about preschool calendars. So, are you a preschool teacher that still does daily calendar at circle time? I'm raising my hand. I know it seems like the newest trend in early education is to say so long to those calendars and either not replace them or replace them with a linear calendar. But why, right? Well, I get it. The thought process behind the decision that most teachers are making to ditch those calendars is because children, young children especially, don't quite understand the concept of time. We know this to be true because to a preschooler, everything happened yesterday. So, if children don't grasp the idea of time, then what is the purpose of doing calendar together? And that really is the rebuttal of the friends that want to get rid of calendar. And I understand that argument. I totally do. But the thing is for me is that we don't use our calendar just for the concept of time. We don't just focus on months of the year and days of the week. Actually, we just don't do it that much. So, you know, there are many benefits to me that kind of override that whole kids have no concept of time rebuttal. But I also want to point out that I don't do calendar for very long at all during our circle time. I use it as like a quick, fun way to reinforce and practice some skills. Really. Plus, it's a great way to start laying the foundation of the concept of time, but not expecting that understanding of the concept of time. And then later, when it's time to learn about time and learn about days and weeks and months and really grasp that, they have a little bit of background knowledge of that, right? They have a schema for that. So, what skills do we practice during our time of doing calendar? So, calendar is a piece of our circle time. If you want to learn more about circle time, I've got some resources on that as well. But we're going to just focus on that short amount of time that I use a calendar for in our circle time. So, what are these skills that we're reinforcing and practicing? Well, we are counting with one-to-one correspondence. I have a calendar helper that comes up and helps me. That is one of our classroom jobs. And he or she uses the pointer, as you can see in the picture here, to touch each numeral and count, right? And we encourage the whole class to do this. We are practicing orally counting. It's either 30 or 31. We count as a class. And we are moving from left to right, return sweep, and top to bottom progression. That is a skill we use for reading and writing, and that is a skill that does not come natural to children. We are beginning to recognize some numerals by seeing them on the calendar in an order, and we are practicing patterning because our calendar pieces have patterning pictures to them. So, how can preschool calendars help us lay the foundation for future use? Well, we use the calendar to introduce the concept of time by using meaningful events. So we mark birthday calendars on our monthly calendar. Here in the picture, you can see there's months in a line to the left of the calendar. Well, that is where we mark our birthday months. And so months now have become meaningful. Well, which one is mine? Where's my birthday at? And we mark it. I usually just put like a piece of tape or like a clothespin on it and put their name on it. And this is your month. So that is one way that we can make time more meaningful to children. We also mark it on, like, once we're in the month that their birthday month is, we mark it on the actual calendar as well with a special event card. We mark our days, and I'm hoping, I'm going to see if I can show you this here. We mark our days of the week as well. I'm going to kind of blow this up here. Up above all the days of the week, we mark them with home and school. So it's starting to give them that understanding and that meaning that certain days we're at home, certain days we're at school. And they have little icons above them, whether they're at home or at school. And I point those out to them as well. I'm hoping you can kind of see that in the picture there. And then we like to introduce the name of the month that's at the top of the calendar, and we relate it back to things that they can make a connection with. So this obviously depends on where you live, your climate, your cultures, all those different things. But like in October, lots of our kids go to the pumpkin patch, and so they can relate that to that time frame of October to pumpkins. And so it's relating it back. It's making a connection to what they already do in their life to the time on the calendar. We also count down to special days and birthdays to see how many days are left, because these things are meaningful to children, and then they can start to see that sometimes it takes time to get to them, right? How many actual days does it take? Overall, we're just introducing what the idea of a calendar even is and how it helps us, so that later when they're learning more deeply about these things, children have that schema for what a calendar even is. So when it comes to creating your own calendar board, if you are now on board thinking, okay, yes, it has some big benefits when it's used the correct way and not just focused on singing, all the days of the year, days of the week and months of the year. We do sometimes do that, but that is not our main focus. Our main focus is understanding how that time relates to children and doing some of our skill-based learning as well. So creating your own calendar, there's lots of different options, but I will tell you my very favorite way is what you see in the picture, which is a pocket chart calendar. I love it because it allows me to just easily put them in and out, right? No sort of adhesive is needed. I don't need Velcro. I don't need sticky tack, things like that. And I can just reuse these over and over again, and the kids can easily get them in and out of the calendar. I'm also blessed to have magnet boards, so I use magnetic hooks to put my pocket chart up on the wall, and I try to make sure that is low enough that my students can reach it, because that is really important. As far as patterning pieces, I love to use patterning pieces on my calendar. So if you look in this picture, you can kind of see we've got red apple, green apple, yellow apple, red apple, green apple, yellow apple. It adds that another layer of skill-based, and we do this in an interactive way. So our calendar helper, first they go through and we count together and figure out what the next number is that's coming up, and then we do the pattern. And to keep this even more engaging, sometimes we will, I'll let the calendar helper choose how we say them. Are we going to say it quiet? Are we going to say it loud? Are we going to sound like a little mouse? Are we going to sound like a big giant? What is it that they want to, what does that sound like? And so we can start to play with that a little bit. We can use different pointers for the different seasons. There's lots of ways to keep this engaging, even though it is essentially the same thing we're doing over and over, right? We're counting with one-to-one correspondence, and we are counting, or we are saying the numerals aloud, right? So, and we're getting up to 30 by the end of it. So even though it is a repetitive skill, there are ways that we can make it something that kids need to practice over and over again, right? But we can do it in a fun way. And then, so patterning, back to patterning pieces. I love the patterning pieces because I'm telling you, ever since I've done this, I really don't have to focus very much on patterning. They really get it, and they find it to be really fun because I allow them to shout out what they think is going to come next, right? We do it together. We might go red, green, yellow, red, green, yellow, red, green, yellow. What's going to come next? And I allow them all to shout it out, and then we get excited. And, my goodness, kiss your brain. Your brain gave you the pattern. Look at you, smart children. All these great things. So that has been a big benefit. If you want to go ahead and use a calendar, using those patterning pieces just adds that extra layer of learning in there. And I actually went ahead and created my own calendar pieces for my kiddos in my classroom. Let me see if I can get you a picture of them here. They have, goodness sakes, nothing is wanting to click correctly today. They basically have the header, they have the patterning pieces below them. There's different patterns that you can do with them. They also include special event cards, so there should be pretty much every special event you need, birthdays, all those things. If there's something very specific that is just like to our center that nobody else would do and we call it a certain thing, I usually just flip one of them over and use a dry erase marker and draw my best. Like I just wing it on the fly if that's something that we need, and explain it to children. And let's see, this last picture, I'll get you up here. Yeah, so 12 months of patterning cards. So if you are at all interested, I will put the link in for those. But those are something that we use over and over. I just made them once and I store them, rubber band up all the cards, put them in a little organizer, and easy peasy. So let's talk a little bit about how you can use your calendar. So to start the year, I always add the days of the week to my calendar, and then I make sure I add the home and the school icons above it to reflect where my students will be that day. And then at the beginning of each month, I make a really big deal about changing out the monthly header by saying goodbye September, hello October, and then we share about things that might be happening that month. I also take that time to mark any special days on the calendar and tell the class about it. So it's basically, we're just showing, hey, this is what a calendar does. It marks events for us. It helps us see how much time we have. It helps us see what month we're in and what might be coming soon, things like that. And then again, I have my calendar helper, choose a pointer, they come up. They lead the class in counting. Obviously, to teach kids this, I model it first and have everybody count with us, and then we do the pattern, and then we determine what picture will come next, and then I hand the cards secretly to the calendar helper, and they get to reveal it, and everybody cheers and gets excited if they got it right or whatever. And then we count how many days that are left to something that's already been marked on the calendar. We don't do this every single day, but this might be something, how many days are left till my birthday? Get real excited about this. So you'll even find them maybe during center time up there with a pointer figuring out how many days are left in the month till their birthday. But they're figuring out how to use a calendar and what it's used for. And we connected it to something meaningful. And so it's not just this rote and practice thing anymore. It's something that is purposeful to them. And then let's see. Yep. I was just making sure I was covering everything. Oh, we also sometimes we focus on what day it is. We don't always do this, but I have found later as the year goes on, they start to go, wait, is this a music day? Are we going to music class today? And so we can talk about the day of the week that we go to music class. We can mark that day on the calendar so they start understanding that there is one time during our week together that we go into music class. We don't always do this. I like to judge how engaged students are before adding, anything besides the counting and patterning. But all in all, the process takes very little time. And I feel like the benefits are huge that outweigh maybe just the idea of no calendar whatsoever. Making sure that you're mindful and thinking about how you can connect these concepts back to children's lives and how you make sure that you're understanding that we are not looking for mastery. We're looking for introducing the idea to create some common prior knowledge for later when they are going to go deeper into this concept of days of the week and months of the year. And yesterday, day, today, tomorrow. You notice that's not any of what we do. We don't focus on yesterday, today, tomorrow. I think that is horribly confusing for children. But I do think there are major benefits to using the calendar in the way that was intended. And that's my story. I'm sticking to it. So drop me a comment. Let me know. Do you still use a calendar in your classroom? Have you kind of been swaying back and forth as well? We have lots of discussions about this at my preschool with my colleagues. And, there's some of us that are strong. We believe calendar, if used in the correct way, in a way that's meaningful for children is helpful. We have some in the camp and we're not sure yet. And so it's great conversation starting and just really thinking about why we do some of the activities that we do in the classroom. And are they actually benefiting our students, or is it just something we feel like we have to do? So it's a great conversation starter, great things to think about. So drop a comment and just share your thoughts. Always make sure keep it in a respectful way, because we are educators and we're here to support each other, not tear each other down. But it's always great to have that conversation, because really when we look deeply at what we're doing, it doesn't benefit anybody more than the kids. Like, the kids benefit from us deeply looking at what we're doing in the classroom, why we're doing it, and whether we want to change it or not. So drop a comment, let me know what your feelings are about calendar, and I will talk to y'all soon. Bye.